life I know. And living this life I know. No, that you, and me, can't easy, can't be, no, you can't have it, you just let the children, you put on their thinking, no more thinking, keep learning the path, keep learning the path, as they keep learning the path, as they bring to a heart, they lead them to a heart, they just like that, them falling just like that, them falling, see I and I out, see I and I out, we wanna move that, we wanna move that, you know see I and I out, see I and I out, we wanna move that, we wanna move that, so till you start, so till you start, stop it all, oh you know, big dreams that we have,
Call and KB. And today we're going to delve in a subject matter. Well, we started with it last week. What do you expect? What do you expect from politicians in a small country, in the small islands of the Caribbean, and we zero in on Grenada particularly? What do you expect? And we're going to speak about what we expect from farmers' representative in the Senate. We have the farmers' representative, we have the labor representative, and we have the private sector representative in the Senate. These individuals have powerful position at the highest level to represent interest group. Then we also have politicos, political activists from political parties who are members of the party. They're part of the executive of parties. They sit down and make plan strategy. So sometimes we call them recognized politicals. Then we have some people who support parties. They might be very loud, they support parties, but they are not part of the party's machinery in terms of making decision and executive. They hearing like everybody else what go on. And these people sometimes support the parties vociferously. And sometimes they might speak against the party. But they are not members. They are not members of the party in terms of paying their dues. They don't sit in executive meeting. They never go to executive meeting. Some of them never go to a party meeting. They might listen to the news and they express themselves. And then we're going up the ladder. What do we expect from ministers? And this time we're not talking about ministers that give you a deal, give you a contract, give you a work, give you money to buy food or nothing. And then we're going to see what do we expect from the leadership of the NNP at this time. Because the NNP is 40 years in government. 40 years is a serious milestone. All of us have a little God in us. We are kind of little Christian. Some of us have a little trust in Christ. We involved in an insurance company and we saving money. We don't trust Christ so much. We don't trust the insurance so much. We don't trust the bank so much. But we say if we invest in three of them, one must stay. So we're going to ask ourselves what we expect, what kind of representation we expect from the ministers. You select a parliamentary representative. They might be in cabinet or they may not be. They may be a minister or they may not be. What you expect from them. And because the NNP is celebrating 40 years as a government, 40 years in the wilderness, 40 is a significant period. And the NNP have such a strong success story. No other leader in the country have a success story as Dr. the Right Honorable Kit Mitchell, Stone, Jonah, whatever name you call it. So we're going to, by that time, we might round up what do we expect from him now. And we have the best inside here. We have KB and Master Carl. We just sorry we don't have Michael Battis, but we are the Galaxy Equalizers. Master Carl, what do we expect from our representative that represent the interest group in the country, like the farmers representative in the Senate, the labor representative, not in the Senate, but in Parliament, and the business representative?
Too often, those representatives mentioned to a particular party line. Like, for instance, the present business representative in the Senate knows the party line he's towing. So, representing the business community becomes blood, and he tends to play to what the party he supports, their narrative, and not necessarily the narrative of the business community. And that goes sometimes to the farmers' representative and even the labor representative. Because you find if, and we contexting it in the Grenadian context, when NNP was in power, like Labor Day, for instance, you expect to hear a lot of chatter about the government. Because we understood then that the labor representative in the Senate was not necessarily supportive of the party NNP. But we see something unprecedented in the last two Labor Day, when the unions representative who are to champion the cause of workers, and the only requirement or expectation is to champion the cause of workers. Case in point, we had the teachers representative in the union championing and bigging up the government of the day, and not necessarily the workers or the sector of workers he or she represents. Now, expectation goes on to not what you want or what is more of what the people you represent want. So it is the expectation of those people that you should be champion and not a political party as we see now. So sometimes you ask yourself how the selection or what is the selection process for those representatives to represent either business or the or workers or farmers and so on. And too often, because they have to toe or tries to toe the party line, some of their issues that get lost. Or issues they don't want to touch because they go somebody might be able to call them and say, well, the next time this thing come up, we won't support you. So the representation of the sector does not be 100. It comes second to the representative, and they say those who pays the piper calls the tune. You mentioned, like when we was on a particular program yesterday, you call people name like Boss, Butler, and these guys and them. They represented workers at any cost. Their whole thing was exemplars to the working class, and workers are not necessarily a political organization or a party. And it seems in recent times, you spoke of politicos. A lot of those representatives start to sound like politicos. Because since you hear them speak, you have an idea which political party they support. And that ought not to be. Now they're entitled to support who they want to support as an individual. But collectively, my view, when you're representing people or a sector, you represent the interests of that sector and not the interests of your political allegiance. The allegiance you have as a representative is for the persons you represent and not you.
Yes, I think KB, the representative, I particularly look at this interest group because they play a significant role in balancing the democratic process. They represent a significant, the business sector represent the Chamber of Commerce, the business sector, and even the people who are not members expect them to take a position that will galvanize their investment. The labor movement, thousands of workers. And even if you are not members of the union, they expect you to take a balancing role that could lay out the template for workers. And the farmers' representative, you are from rural Grenada. You come from a history of farmers. All your life, when you're not involved in farming, you're deeply involved in politics.
But
Tell us what we expect.
just before we go to KB, the very construct of the Senate gives the government side an advantage because the president of the Senate is chosen by the government side. And that don't happen by accident because the framers of the Constitution expected the representative, like for the farmers and them, to represent the farmers. And that shouldn't because the government still carries the majority. So healthy discussion and debate, they wanted that, so they didn't want to make it, if you do supportive of the policies of the government, you shouldn't speak. You could speak because ultimately, if he goes to a vote by
Government will
numbers,
still win.
he still win. So that in itself, the framers of the Constitution recognized and was encouraging persons to truly represent the sector they were chosen to represent and not toe the line or be a political. But because everybody has become political, the issues, the real issues, and just I want to give a case in point here. When this government came into power, we heard a lot of talk. The faith organization workers, the CJ workers, the workers in Carriacou, Granbury Estate, and you find the unions making excuse not to represent the interests of workers. Either they claim they are not unionized, they're making excuses instead of representing who they ought to represent because they have become politicals. Yeah, KB.
Yes, thank you for having me. And when someone get involved in politics or representing a particular sector, whether the farmers or the business community, the aim and objective is to make your country and your village a better place. The aim must be to make Grenada a better place. That should be the priority. Understand? And again, in our society, because of the lack of yes, you suffer from lack of resources. But whatever limited resources we got is how much lives you're able to touch with it. And you cannot help calling Sir Eric Matthew Gary name. How much lives he touched in difficult time. Maurice Bishop, how much lives he touched in difficult time. Dr. Keith Mitchell, how much lives he touched, in his tenure. Even Peter David, you could say he's a man who touched people's life every day in the courthouse, on the street, all over. These people, as we said, in every particular time in history, certain leader rise. 1951 was Uncle Gary time. You couldn't know that. In 1979 was Maurice Bishop time. And then you have Keith Mitchell time. And there is no doubt these leaders touch people's life. Now, as to the farmers' representative, we had the longest serving farmer representative, Mr. Clouden. he served farmers the longest. But he perceived to be an NDC supporter. He perceived to be seeking the interests of the NDC instead of seeking the interests of the farmers. You understand? That is the problem. People must appear to be fair, and people must convince you're seeking their interests. You're right. If someone representing the business community, you seek the business of the business community, not the political party you align with. And that is where people must trust you with the truth. Whatever position you hold, you must earn people respect, because you always have to appear to be fair. You understand? I remember, I want to recall what you and Master Carl's statement about the situation on Labor Day, and I listened to some of these people. Yes, the union leaders appear to be very selfish, and even some of the workers, because yes, they get the pension, yes, teacher get the money, and who get increase. But what's about the ordinary workers who never get increase, who will never get a pension? You understand? What's about the crime situation in the country that will affect the union leaders and the workers? What's about the high cost of living in this country? How come you go to a meeting and there isn't that outcry of the economic situation in this country, about the health situation? Are you concerned? You get your back pay, so okay. You get your pension, that's okay. Teachers get their money, is okay. Who get the increase is okay. And you forget everything about the other man, the entire society. That is so unfair. I understand your position. So you, as a politician in a third world country, you have to be able to touch lives right through. The complete human being have to be looked after. You can look after one section and you forget the unemployed worker. You forget the mother, the single mother, mothers in the home that don't know where the next meal coming from. How could you, as a trade union leader, ignore this thing? Where is your empathy? You understand? Politician must look at everybody to make the country a better place. Once you start marginalizing, ostracizing, we're in trouble. And we must trust our leaders with the truth.
KB, the farmers' representative in the Senate, in the upper house in particular, they seem to have a history of working with the politician. When you go back to farmers' representation from way back when, they always align themselves with the political organization rather than the farmers' interests.
See, Mr. Pierre, it depends on the people you put to represent the farmers. For instance, the Nutmeg Association. We lost $8 million. $8 million. And everybody afraid the issue. Everybody afraid to take it up. How come we lost $8 million? Who give the leaders of the Nutmeg Board the authority to invest our money without consulting us? And who must take responsibility? I remember once when I get the information, I went to GBN. I put on my Russian hat and I went to GBN. I said, look, I got some information from a member of the board. They didn't agree that the leadership took certain money and invest in Clico and Baiko. Now the money lost. who responsible? I say, I have first-hand information. They interview me, and I went, open TV. We,
Sensitive.
well, you see, waiting for the news, nothing. Why? Because they protect those people who on their own go and take the farmers' money and invest in Clico and buy one, come back and say the money lose. $8 million.
While the farmer crying out.
While the fireman crying out. And nobody don't want to take those people.
You know how much there's a pump. Paradise had a big pump once. I always remember the name. A big pump by the river.
Lista?
A Lista pump.
Yes.
Lista Peta.
You know they could have buy one Lista pump. And they could have offer $100,000 for the secondary school that could come up with a child that I could invent something about nutmeg or something. Instead of they take the farmers' money and do what it was not legally authorized.
You see what happened, what bothered me? They were saying, look, the reason why they invest the money on the individual name, the insurance was not taking group insurance.
We're getting legal authority to do that.
But here happened. Teachers lost $200 and something thousand because teachers invest. One invest in Clico or Baiko. They invest it. The group teachers at that body lost $200 and something thousand. So if teachers was allowed as a group to invest, why the Nutmeg Association wasn't allowed as association? Why you have to invest the money on the management name?
Or you could take all this money and give somebody.
I don't know how somebody the manager invests. One manager invests $3 million. Next one take $5 million and invest on the name.
How much you take?
And they come back and
well,
they come back and say the money lose. I Mr. Pierre, remember they send me in the shop with 50 cents to buy bread. Keeps up and down with the money. The 50 cents lose. When I go back, I get one deal for that 50 cents. I lose it because
I think I can before 56 cents.
But no, you hear a man take the government take money and insure on his name. Two of them, you know. And what make it worse, as you said, government must have representative on that board.
Mm-hmm.
Government have representative.
Where is the person who represents government? They're supposed to watch here and go and report back.
That's what they're for.
That is what they're for, because they're representing government interests, and these other people work in the farmers' interests. How this thing happen, as you saying, what we expect of these people, you always asking that. What do you expect of politicians? What do you expect of the leaders who represent people in the Senate? How you expect on those board, even Grand Neck Board, Central Water Commission, you understand? The Nutmeg Board, the Cocoa Board, what do you expect of them?
If you don't expect nothing, they could do anything.
Not to seek their own interests.
Yeah, they have a good time.
And I know you're very passionate about that.
But
because you're from the farming committee, you're passionate. They must there to seek the farmers' interests to make this country a better place.
But what is strange, the same set of people who does that, they still remain in that position for a lot of years.
Donkey years.
And even on other boards,
donkey years.
They still is the same set of people who run things.
But not even that. Look at the pool. Look at the old pool where I used to go in SAS. Eh? They spend so much money to repair it. You understand? And they sell it back, and the bank take it and sell it because they owe the bank. Why this whole thing?
The farmers don't even know.
The farmers know nothing about that.
Well, them and the bank seems to have had a nice thing going.
Because Kuma own the place.
Because they sell the thing and the farmers don't even know. You see, if we don't speak about what we expect, sometimes the politician get the most licks. The raw politician. They get the most licks in the country.
Yes.
But what do we expect from representation? And it's good to start with the politician, because that is where we expect the most fight back from the politician. But it might be a good thing for us to spend some time. What do we expect? We speak about the trade union, we speak about the business sector, and we open the door for the farmers. We have to come back. But KB, we have another group of people, the politicos. And we have to put a clear line of demarcation between politicos who are members of political parties and could vote. They attend executive meetings, they know what's going on. You don't expect these people to come and tell you all secret that go on inside meeting because they have some level of collective responsibility. They're not supposed to wash the dirty linen in public because they have inside information. What do we expect from them? Massacre.
The first word is accountability, because you find a lot of times persons always tend to push the issue to another person. The politicals would be in a position they would be associated with their political party. All the perks, boards and everything, they will benefit. But when there's nothing to show, they'll blame another person because they don't take in accountability. Secondly, as you say, we don't expect to know all the secrets in those meetings, but the policy. It is important to understand the policy, because when the policy is not clear, it's like you don't know what to expect. This week might be something different. Next week might be something different. As KB just mentioned, the issue with the $8 million. What is the policy? Because let me put it for argument's sake, let's have a parallel point. The money they put in place macho and the interests of such, who the interests would have belonged to?
Who name me on?
Yeah, because you don't have a policy.
And who name it on?
Who name it on?
But who the money, what they take to put it for?
Farmers' money.
Who name it on?
And another thing what has happened,
They could make a will
our
and live
society in terms of representation and expectation, persons grade have a way of those persons could get away with anything they try. You don't have no consequence. Even representative representation, there is no consequence to not doing the right thing. And you know that, KB.
Yeah.
There is no consequence.
Yeah.
So if they lose $8 million, no consequence. It's like nothing happened. And how long as a society and as KBC earlier and representative supposed to build the capacity or make the thing better? You don't telling me, like, let me go as a representative in politics. You represent a constituency for 5 years. And when election time comes, you have to try very hard to convince the people what you stand for and what you could do for them. And you had 5 years at the helm. You should be building on what you already think. Like the Prime Minister make a serious point. He says, if you're not delivering the expectation of the people, you're failing.
But the people don't expect nothing. What they expect?
So how does one understand the expectation of the people? That's the question.
Well, that's an important thing. Because if you're a political representative, you're representing a political party, but you're a membership. You take out membership in the party. So you have a right to go and vote. So you may be much more okay with the policies of that political party, and the party expect you to go outside there and propagate, push the policies, whereas you may not remember the little negatives that happen to thwart the party outside there. Those political activists who are card-bearing members understand the role in the party. Many times I hear a man say, I'm a member of the party. But time for them to get rid of this man or get rid of this man, because you came from a meeting and you might have heard some information that the general public don't have.
Yes.
Do the politicos who are members of a party clearly understand the responsibility?
Because politicos have a serious responsibility. They could make or break the political party.
A lot of them, the other time is they not master the party.
Now we're going back to expectations, Mr. P. And recently I had a discussion with a couple guys about expectations and performance. And the person who acts most as the prime minister in lieu of the prime minister, they say he's doing very well because he refurbishing out of basketball courts. So I asked them if greater expectation of a politician has become receiving the refurbishment of basketball courts, and it comes back down to expectations. And sometimes we accept even things what is not our expectation.
It's not relevant, it's not important, it doesn't have serious impact on developing the community, but it looks colorful.
When persons come to us to ask for our support in them representing us, they tells us a lot of things, Kibi, like they have a manifesto. And they tell you what they're gonna do and what they're gonna do. They never tell you what they won't do. But when they get into it, case in point, the present Minister of Youth went on the platform and said we'll have youth in every sector. So the expectations of the youth, we will give that man a chance because as they come and we go be in health, we go be in this, we go be in that. Only to give that person the authority to represent them, and then they come back and say to the same set of people, we don't really have ideas and we're looking for you to tell us something. So how does expectation apply there, Mr. P?
Perhaps we have to know when we're representing people what we represent them for, what we expect them to do, and different rules, because we're speaking now about a political activist that is directly a member of a political party. KB, you might be able to speak on that because you now might be considered in the eyes of the public as a political activist because you like politics.
And one of the most believable political activists.
KB, are you a member of a political party?
No, I'm not a member. Well, to say because I was a member of the New National Party, but I think with my dues now,
You're not a member.
I'm not a member because I financially not.
You're not financial.
I'm not financial.
So you're not a member.
I'm not a member. And most of my friends and family advise me I shouldn't be a member of no political party. The reason why I tend to be outspoken and controversial. A member of a party must have respect for the party and make sure they don't go outside, and speak openly of the problem, wash it in linen. So because I don't have that level of discipline, I will always go on radio and give my ventilate
Honest opinion.
my honest opinion, which affect other people. I remember telling Dr. Mitchell a couple weeks, months ago, some time ago, when I visited him, I said, Doc, when I on radio and I criticize you, when I go to walk in the market and I tell those NNP good morning, they don't sign me because they feel I had no right to criticize you. He smiled. I said, well, I could live with that. You understand? I understand that because as a political operative, if you align with any political party, you cannot live the life you want to live.
It's a different life.
You have to live the life the party and the people in the community expect you to live.
Do we really? I have never been a member of any political party, so I don't know. But do you have education program within the party when people become members, particularly if they are executive members of the certain committee,
Politicals.
to educate them what the party expects from them.
Beautiful. That is what lacking.
Because every political party would have dirty linen.
Of course. And you're so correct. You must have a series of seminar, educational seminar, to train people how to deport themselves in the community, how to behave.
I've
Because-
listened to some individuals who supposed to be wise. And they would say, no, but this is my opinion. You can go on a platform. You are the chairperson or the president or general secretary of a political party. And you express the party's position. But you say, but
In
that
my
is my
opinion.
position.
You can't go on
can't do
opinion.
that.
If
You don't have a position.
based on your position in the organization, you cannot opinionate issues.
Well, every time you open your mouth,
You have to speak with the blessings or
people,
because
people expect
just my view of the whole thing is simply this. When you get into your conclave or your executive settings or whatsoever, you could have a robust discussion or robust debate. But if the party, after such debates, decide that's the way we're going, you can't go and say, yes, we'll go, so but I think so.
no.
All that finish, but I think within the context of having the debate, you should let the party really know.
Yeah.
That is how my view is. But because in the settings of that majority decides the direction,
You have to go with the majority.
you have to go, so you cannot go and opinionate it after such discussion. The problem is, Mr. P,
Is the problem a challenge?
or the challenge is the ability to have robust debate and stay together, or not after your robust debate, you're watching the person differently. That is the challenge.
Not every time you disagree with your party. The disagreement, because if the disagreement is fundamental, you have to leave the party.
You have to leave.
But you could disagree with your
You
party,
could agree to disagree.
and then you propagate the position the party take. Because you argued forcefully there, but the party come to the conclusion that will be our strategy. And you supporting the strategy perhaps stronger than other members.
And you're in a better position to think the strategy because of your view on
Your
the
view on it.
strategy.
So somebody else, sometimes I get the impression people who ought to know, because they're supposed to be well educated. Repeatedly I hear saying, but this is my view. You don't have a view.
But one,
You is the president of the organization, chairman, your party take a position that you was different from yours. You can go in the public and say, well, my party say we're going down Grand St. John, but I believe we should go in Byland first.
I want to agree with you, but the party must allow internal debate
Now, if you're a
and
part
to,
of
and,
an
to, and, to,
executive,
and to avoid people from the executive going and wash the dirty linen in public. You must encourage internal debate. You understand?
robust at that.
If you let's suppose you stifle dissent within the party, you stifle it. You don't want different views. You understand? The party. Let's suppose the leader have a narrative and he expect you to follow it, and you disagree. You have to disagree inside the party.
you have to disagree. You have to have strong disagreement
inside and
and
argue
then
with
we
him.
come with a
But
position.
that is if the party reach that level of maturity. That is important, you know. And if
Expectation.
the party will tolerate, the word toleration must be important.
Now, how do you exist in a political organization and your views
A contrary.
cannot be expressed?
That is
It
true.
won't last long.
None of you can last long. For instance, I always say people like Francis Pierre should never be in no political party.
But I've been
You
in,
go
I've
end
been
up in trouble with the leadership. You go end up in trouble with people. And my friends always say, my wife say, KB, don't join no political party. You'll get yourself in trouble. So I'm a strong supporter of the new national party. Strong supporter. You understand? But to be a member is trouble.
I have been in groups and organizations since way before 16. And I've been in group, even organization in churches and etc. And I've argued and always bring. I remember in one organization where they wanted to vote, I tell them all and don't vote. Because I knew then if they vote, I would have to. But I want to bring argument, justification, reasons why that position is.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, I will go with the position
With the
organization take.
I'll give you a story. After the election, the NNP was having a special retreat. Dr. Mitchell gave special invitation to Master Carl and Kennedy Boodlal to attend the retreat. Some of my friends told me, KB, if you go in the retreat to give trouble, they wouldn't be coming. So I promised them I won't be controversial. I'll be respectful. And I'm not say anything. But during, during the session, I find it hard for me to sit there and do say anything. You understand? So when Dr. Mitchell started putting emphasis on structuring the party, you understand, and organizing the party, I compliment him. I say, look, I didn't realize political structure is in the NNP DNA because they never emphasize on political structure. And I have one statement to make. One of the most serious flaws of the Grenada Revolution was to put in place the right kind of modus operandi to curb abuses and to settle dispute in the party. I don't want this NNP to make the same mistake. So I want to suggest we put the right kind of modus operandi in place to curb abuses and to settle dispute internally in the party, to avoid people doing things in an arbitrary way. Because if you allow the leadership to take arbitrary position or the rank and file to take arbitrary position, we could be in trouble. And I close my case.
And this is a strong point.
And
But
what?
I'm a strong advocate of that. I have a policy in my life, in my home, in people who I interact with very close. That if you disagree with me, then you should bring in a third person, particularly if he's close from the group, or bring in a third person and let's hold a discussion. Because I always advocate. Sometimes I disagree with Francis Pierre. So I expect you to disagree. But I encourage people, bring justification. Give me reasons why. So if an individual say, I don't like my party position on that policy, I would ask them why you don't like the policy and what are the suggestions you have. Because sometimes you just say, I don't like the policy, I don't like it.
Yeah.
As a man say, I don't like KB.
Yeah.
Why you don't like KB? I don't know, but I don't like it. But we have to encourage people to give reasons. Because if you give reasons, sometimes the individual that disagree with you today, when he go home and he think about it, he call you back and say, I think this thing makes sense here.
When he go man and sit down on the toilet.
Yeah.
And he
Because
think
it's
about
almost like a think tank.
Yeah.
But people have to know the rules. And the public in general, particularly party members who are allowed, must know that this individual is, while that individual might be a loud supporter, they're not a party member. There is a different role for a party member and a party supporter.
But part of the expectations, Mr. Pierre, is one understanding his or her role. Now, people tend to want to, like success is a lot of parents. But people tend to not to want to stay what their role might be. The role might be is like going by Glen Egg and get water and bring for people like who is on the front line. But maybe they went on the front line and they recognize what people on the front line exposed to, so they want to be on the front line too. So they don't bring in water, and then they realize, oh, by we don't have water, all of us thirsty.
And it comes back to KB point. If we don't explain the process to settle issues and disputes. And in Grenada today, we have a lot of history, but we had the Eric Gary period. When no matter what you say about Gary, there was no reference. We couldn't reference Gary with other situation. We couldn't say, well, this thing is so happening in the past and Gary do it now.
Yeah.
So there was no comparability. Then we have the revolution. And then at this stage now, we have a lot of history. We could go back and see some of the blunders the politicians make, some of the blunders political activists make, some of the excesses that took place. And we could present a better product.
Another issue that comes up, Mr. Pierre, persons, politicals and otherwise, tends to like to inherit other person's political enemies. So, me and KB is friend, so I want to have all KB political enemies, I want to make them my enemies.
All again because we don't know what is people's role. I know we have to spend a lot of time on these issues. Because even journalists, an individual might be a journalist, but they might be sympathetic to a political party. But they don't have to be a political.
Case in point, huh?
Yeah.
I listen a guy interviewing Nelson Mandela one time. And he was trying to tell Nelson Mandela why you're supporting Fidel and Gaddafi and these people and them.
Yeah.
Because the human rights record, blah, 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 blah. And the same issue Nelson said, their struggles and our struggles is similar. They were there for us. So how now you asking us to come and beat up on them?
And their enemies is not my enemies.
So a lot of times politicals
Yeah.
tends to want to inherit either the leader of the party or somebody like enemies for theirs. And sometimes that person who they thought is the enemy was ready to work with them.
What you're saying is
Because politics is about addition and multiplication.
Alliances and
Alliances.
opportunities.
Yes.
No permanent friends, no permanent enemies.
Alliances and self-interest.
Alliances and opportunities.
You're so correct. For instance, a few people met me and say, KB, how is it you so silent about Dr. Mitchell and so on going forward? And I laugh. I said, let me tell you something. I may have my difference to Dr. Mitchell, but you don't expect me to come on radio and beat up on Dr. Mitchell as an NNP. I said, Dr. Mitchell still have value. You know. I say, in an election campaign, let's suppose Dr. Mitchell decided not running. But an election campaign, you need him because he have value and he have connection and the base of the party still like him. So why you should go and try to destroy him when you know you have use for him down the road? And if even you're not a member of the government and you want advice, you still might have to go and buy Dr. Mitchell and ask Dr. Mitchell advice based on his experience. So you can't throw him under the bus because he have value. Yes, I may disagree with Dr. Mitchell's policy and his strategy going forward. But you don't go and beat him up and try to destroy him or you demonize him because he still have value, may have use for him later down the road. So you have to be tactical. You have to be wise. You understand? You cannot develop that kind of hate in the society where you totally marginalize an individual and demonize him. In every human being, there is a bit of hate.
Some good and bad. Some good and bad.
Good,
Well,
a little bad.
Sometimes we gravitate.
Nobody is completely bad. Nobody is
Sometimes-
completely good.
Mo-
Gravitate to the bad quickly.
Yeah, for instance,
Most
there's-
people say there's a thin line between love and hate.
let me show you. Let me give you an example. For instance, if you totally marginalize an individual, remember the devil, my friend. The devil, and this thing is a numbers game. You have to be careful. If I'm an advisor of Dr. Mitchell or Peter David,
Just before we go to that, because we in the last 10 minutes of this issue, what do we expect?
yeah,
And I see we gravitate towards this one quickly. So, when you mention about policies and strategy, it's two very important things. Perhaps we have to discuss by itself,
Mhm.
because sometimes we have so much issue with politicians and party, but we never speak about the policy. And when you ask people why you angry with this man, it's never about policy and strategy.
personally.
Maybe he passed on the road, he didn't give me a ride or something. But KB, we come to the last 10 minutes, so the question that we have to ask. Dr. Mitchell has been the most successful politician in Grenada and in the Commonwealth. No other individual come close. I think all of us agree on that. He has won the election on 3 occasions, winning all the seats. And most of the time we have crisis in Grenada. Under the leadership of Kit Mitchell, he has brought us out. And I see him also as a very inclusive individual. What is your expectation? I'll be going to both of you all with that time.
Yes.
And we under 10 minutes now. What is your expectation from Dr. Mitchell?
I
For
expect.
Dr. Mitchell?
I want Dr. Mitchell to, as he said, he's living. I expect Dr. Mitchell to live with dignity, live with pride. You know, I expect him to adhere to the democratic process within his party and don't take side. Let everybody that have problem complain to him. Stay above the fray. Peter David have a problem, come to Dr. Mitchell. Miss P have a problem, come to Dr. Mitchell. He must seen as that individual, as the leader, you understand, to settle any little internal dispute. And he just cannot take side. And when he living, he will live with dignity. I expect him now, you understand, the Grenadian people, the NNP must trust their leader with the truth. Dr. Mitchell, you said you live in. If you change your mind, come back and say openly, look, I changed my mind based on the present political circumstances. But I don't expect you to play hide and seek in this thing. Openly, frank. Look, I'm feeling I'm the best person now to lead the process. Come and say so and go in an open convention for a mandate. If you want a new mandate, go. You understand? And respect anybody else who challenges. After 40 years now?
40 years.
40 years. And your leader say he's going. I expect about 10, 15 people to put their hat in the ring because NNP is not a fringe party. It's a lucrative position to be the leader of NNP.
It's a master party.
A
in the
master
history of
party.
this country.
So if nobody wants the position as leader, you have to ask yourself what is wrong with the NNP that is so corrosive, or contagious. Nobody don't want to be the
That is
leader.
the best political party
Exactly.
that pass in Grenada.
So you want
and
people to
perhaps in the-
apply. 10, 12 people must say, look, I won the job. The job is a good job. It's the best job. But if nobody don't want the job, something wrong.
Massacre.
Even West Indies, fellas still want to captain West Indies. Fellas still want to captain West Indies. My thing about it is, my feelings, sentiments exactly force. I always believe good sense will prevail. I don't see it as doom and gloom as how some people trying to make it. NNP is too important of a party for that to happen. There are too many, I don't want to use the word good, but there are too much persons who loved Grenada enough and is part of the NNP. So I believe good sense will prevail. So I don't lose sleep and beat up over it. I support Kennedy in terms of we spoke about crisis in Grenada, and Dr. Kit Mitchell has an impeccable track record. He's talking about Ivan, MLE. We're talking about what NDC did the country in 13. We talk about COVID. I four from the top of my head where Dr. Mitchell navigated this country through. Now, I believe if Dr. Kit Mitchell believes he wants to continue as a leader of NNP, and he feels that Grenada is in a state of flux, and based on his experience and know how he wants to continue, I don't fault him for that. But the people must know, because that's the question being asked. Because the last thing from Dr. Kit Mitchell was he was going. I didn't agree when he said that. There are times I met him and I say, I don't think you should continue to say you're going. However, if he feels he wants to continue, no one can fault him and say anything or he shouldn't. You understand? I'm saying? He on the right, KB, to say he want to continue, but he must let the people know so all of us could rally, because we want to rally behind somebody, because the government, in my opinion, is not performing with distinction, but we have to be an alternative. We cannot be an alternative in flux. You understand, Mr. Pierre? Because unity is strength. Togetherness brings what it is. So my thing is simply this. The NNP will continue to be a vibrant and party, and one that would help navigate Grenada through this present process.
Well, there is no question on that. The NNP party, after 40 years, they didn't even think about the 40 years. And 40 years is a significant period. Has been an extremely outstanding party in Grenada, the most outstanding party in Grenada, and has a significant role in the Commonwealth.
And
Because it's the only party that was able to win all the seats in 2 occasions.
And is that is because of the policy.
The policies and the leadership of the government.
Yes.
But because the party's history, if you notice, the party is very inclusive.
Very.
And the party has attracted men and women around them who seems to be well grounded in the policy.
Definitely.
All of them. And NNP has been an inclusive party. A party that's able to attract other members and come into the party and work in unison. So I think Dr. Mitchell himself would be an authority in the Caribbean. And I would love to see him addressing issues that transcend political boundaries and propagate CARICOM and other issues in the Caribbean that where when you are Prime Minister, you might not be able to
seek advice,
deal with it.
Because Dr. Kit Mitchell has become an institution.
Definitely.
And that should not be taken lightly. So any person who wants to be successful at it ought to seek some counsel.
Really, of course. If you want to write the history in the Caribbean where politics is concerned, Kit Mitchell's name must be there. And his level of interaction with people, irrespective of the level of criticism you give him, Kit Mitchell is prepared to sit down.
A man told me one time, the 3 stars represent, the 3 stars at the top of the flag represent Brafit, Blaze, Breezan. And those is Eric Geary and others. But the star in the center of the flag is Kit Mitchell.
Well, 7 stars you have on the flag, thank God.
The star in the center is Kit Mitchell. Yeah. And it was mind-boggling that we could have $50 and we do have Kit Mitchell.
That is for another time and another place. We come to the end of our program today, and we apologize again for the technicalities that we couldn't have that program live. We're going to post it on the website, and we encourage you to continue to subscribe to us and share us. And we want to provoke discussion. And there is no topic we will not discuss, and we'll continue to discuss issues. And we do hope to be joined sometime by Michael Batiste and others who will be on Galaxy Equalizers. Once again, we thank our technical operator, Devante, for helping us this morning. Thank you very much.
Say whoa, 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 whoa. Say whoa, 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 whoa. Ready now, me ready now. A time to share, a time to care, a time to happy. But the whole year just went and you forgot it. Too much disguising on your love. I know I come tell the eye about Merry Christmas. Lord, you need to give a little. You get your riddle. You need to show the people something more. Don't let the heart shiver when fear's driven and end up losing it. But I'm a